Okay, here are the first 3 problems that you had from your homework last night. As you can see, when you're using the right endpoints, you're going to start at the right and then subtract the bases. So you start at f of 4 and then subtract a base and you get f of 3.5, subtract a base, and so on. And notice you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heights. On number 2, you're going to start at the left. So you start at f of 0, which has no height. And then you go f of 1, f of 2, f of 3, because you're just adding the base to each one. Number 3, you're using the midpoint method. That's a little bit more challenging. So you first of all draw in your 4 rectangles, and then you take the midpoint. For example, between 0 and 1/2, the midpoint of that would be 1/4. So that's where you get your f of 0.25. Another thing to consider on number 3 is because it's an even function, you could have just found the heights of these two and then multiplied by 2, since the rectangles have the same areas. Okay, here is number 3. Oh, excuse me, number 4. This one you have to use your calculator on because we don't know the values of cosine pi over 16 and so forth. And I'll also be sending this to you on a PDF. Now, let's look at today's problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the calculator. If you're able to use the Riemann sum program, we're going to use the calculator to do these problems. So the first thing that you want to do is graph your function. So let's first of all clear that out, and I'm going to put in 2x squared plus 3. Okay, so we're just graphing that function. Then we quit out of that. Now, if you've got the program in your calculator, you're going to hit Program, and then Riemann sum, and then hit Enter. A is the lower bound, which in this case is 1. B is the upper bound, which in this case is 4, and that was just given to us in the problem. N is the number of rectangles, so in this problem that would be 6. And then on my program, I've done the extended one. You're going to either press 0, 1, or 0.5, depending if you want the left, right, or midpoint. So I believe on this one we were doing right endpoint, so we're going to hit number 1. And the nice thing is it'll even draw the rectangles in for you. Notice I don't have my window, so I can't see the whole thing. But as soon as I want to know the answer, I just hit Enter. And it gives me the sum of 58.75, which is the same thing we got there. Okay, let's try that number 4, that cosine one. In this one, notice we do have to be in radian mode. So check your mode, make sure you are indeed in radian mode. And then quit that out. Let's go ahead and graph the function y equals cosine x. Okay, then we will quit out of that, go back to the program, the Riemann sum program, hit Enter. A was 0, and again, I'm just getting these from the original problem. A is 0. B is pi over 2. N is 4. And then this one specifically said midpoint method, so we're going to put in 0.5. It'll do the graph for us again. It'll show us the rectangles, and then we will hit Enter to make it stop, and it gives us the sum, which is what we had. Easy peasy. Of course, you do have to get that program into your calculator, which is kind of a challenging thing to do. But the nice thing is we can obviously still do them by hand. Okay? So for your homework, you've got 4 problems from the textbook. Email me if you have any questions, and have a wonderful weekend.